Greetings, sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. This is Body-Culinary, and I'm not off to a late start because I do it early every day. So I'm about to go to the market, and I literally just rinsed, washed my hair, and I just had a question for you folks out there that are endeavoring to really embrace what it is that you have, right? So, question: do you really feel your hair and your skin? It's coming from someone that's had a truckload of acne. Like, do you really feel it? Do you take your time to observe how it's behaving? What that could look like as if it's breaking off, if it's dry, if it's brittle, um, smelling it. This is especially if you don't feel comfortable with your hair, or if you want to feel more comfortable with your hair. Do you take the time to feel it? And what I mean by feeling it is to feel and assess what it needs with your fingertips when you're in the shower, when it's dry. That's what we're going to chit chat about today before I head off to the market. And by the way, you see this? So, as I've mentioned before, I have very, very fine, delicate hair. So this is an example. I can just pull this right off. Can you see that? It's a very, very weak spot. And I can just pull that off. Look. So, natural haircut. Now, can you believe this used to be a big, fluffy, double strand twist? So, when folks say that my hair is thick, it's actually, they're all flat, right? And I've embraced the fro at the base. So, I like to find styles that are complementary for my very kinky, cottony hair that is also very fine. So this was a big, fluffy double strand twist when it started out, right? I don't have any products in it. So I can see, let's pull this off. Oh, it's kind of hard to break open. But that was also a weak spot, right? Because I used to wear a lot of shells and beads in my hair. And although I like it, that's not what my hair likes, right? So, by the way, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm Body-Culinary. I'm a personal trainer, professional chef, natural born woman with a womb and uterus. And I enjoy that expression. Shout out to you, whatever your expression is. On this channel, I share some of my journey of radical self-acceptance, really embracing and celebrating and being creative with the features I have been divinely assigned, as well as I share 3 lifestyle practices, leverage lifestyle practices that can give you something back significant and tangible for the investment of your time, energy, and your attention, right? That can really sustain you. And those lifestyle practices are peaceful consumption, food that loves you back, garden therapy, and a personal movement practice, which hopefully is becoming the best part of your day. So if you're interested in the content I share, feel free to like, comment, and share the video with other folks who may find this interesting. Okay, so today I'm talking about feeling your hair. So I've been watching this break off, and I just go along for the ride to see what my hair and skin will do. So this is the color of my hair. Sometimes people ask if I dye my hair. I do not. So I can see the weak spot there, right? This is the end of my hair. This one, I don't think was a combined lock, right? So there's no oil, no product in there. So it's kind of tough to pull it apart, but I'm sure I can pull it apart. Ooh, it's kind of, right? So there's not buildup in there. That's a good thing because there's no oil or product in my hair. And when I was using product, all it was coconut oil and olive oil. And there have been long periods where I've used nothing. So this was a long period of nothing at all in my hair. And I was tempted just now in washing my hair to get the one shampoo that I use periodically. I don't need it all the time because I don't have a lot of buildup. But I was also feeling like, oh, I just want to go and refresh myself. I love luxuriating in the shower. But then in feeling my hair, I could feel like, I feel like it needs a little luxuriation. It feels a little, my hair doesn't feel brittle, but I could feel it felt a little drier. So I was thinking, okay, what do we have in the garden? Because we're supposed to be on our way to the market. What in the garden can I pull out of my kitchen? Because that's my thing, my little Afro flower thing. It's to pull things from my garden that are natural and non-toxic, that are sustainable to me. And I feel I should be able to use that on my hair and skin. Greetings, Queen Ra. So I have several areas where I could give myself a haircut. I could cut it off. Let me see. Do I have a pair of scissors? Let's cut it. Hold on. Let me grab a scissor. I don't like being in fear. Food phobic, hair phobic, product phobic. I like finding the sweet spot. So I can see the areas where I'm getting a natural haircut where, should I repair that or should I cut it off? So these are areas where I used to put a lot of beads in there. So this is just spontaneous. Let's just cut it off. Right? So now some people won't cut that off. They're like, oh, it's a year's worth of growth. This is just my color. I guess it's kind of like a reddish brown. And you can see the color because I don't have anything in it. So when people keep asking me if I'm dyeing my hair, no, I found you can see the natural color of your hair if you don't have a whole lot of oil and dirt bogging it down. And it can be really interesting to see. So, many of us are killing ourselves for this kind of length. When our hair is not natural, right? Because our hair draws up, I have shrinkage, a lot of shrinkage. We'll do all different kinds of things to manipulate the hair to see a couple of inches of growth. So I don't fear, so I'm fearful. So I'm sure there's a couple of areas in here where I'm getting that natural haircut, or it's shedding, or I can feel it's kind of broke. Should we cut it? I don't know. I'm spontaneous. Let's just cut it. Yeah. So now I don't trim my hair per se, like we had relaxers, and one of my clients who took excellent care of her hair. Oh my gosh, beautiful hair. She would trim her hair periodically, right? To keep split ends. So split ends is not a concern for fine, kinky, cottony hair. However, we can hold on to this because sometimes I see some different Afro women with hair and they'll just let the locks just hang on. Sometimes I like that. And sometimes I'm like, just the idea of holding on to stuff. So I'm cutting off, but I'm not cutting it off because I want it to feel even or anything. I'm just looking at certain areas. And a lot of them can break off on their own. But if the area is hanging on for dear life, I like to think of it like an analogy for life. So I can just cut it off. So my whole point is sometimes we're just holding on to stuff that's kind of like dead, limp kind of energy. Do we really need to hold on to stuff? Wow, it's really reddish brown. So there's no buildup in it, right? And I think it's someone's very, very fine hair, right? And I'm going to keep it real over here. All right, my skin used to be looking like the sidewalk. And why? Because of what I was eating, straight up and down. Products, natural, health food store. It was products, all the years of eating junk food. I was junk food junkie, and that's all it was. It's no secret. That's what it was. It was being, honest. I was eating crap. So why should I expect very clear skin when I'm eating foods that my skin and my body and my liver are telling me are not foods, right? So wow, that was a quick little haircut, and I'm sure I'll find other. If I keep going, I can just start cutting and cutting and cutting, right? So I don't have to be attached to that stuff because I know the hair will grow, right? And I know now that this has matured after a couple of years, several years. Now I know what my mature hair, because was thicker, right? This is a whole bunch of my locks. It's only about 30 locks. So it's not dense at all. So this is just my journey. Sometimes we can be afraid of what we think our hair and skin is going to look like if we don't put makeup on. I do like mascara. Or if we don't do all of this stuff. And maybe it can resonate. Perhaps this is not everyone. But I remember times where you feel like, oh, I got to do something. I need something new. Then I go put a dye in it. And then it's like, oh, the dye didn't take me, go put another dye in it. And sometimes I'm like, these are caustic chemicals that we're putting near the brain. And it's like, why would we think that, the stuff, when we know we can put heart patches and all kind of medications through the skin, why would we think that our delicate brains and our control center is not affected by what we're putting onto the skin? Why? Because somebody tell me why. Can locks get thicker if you stop twisting and let it grow? So distinctions when it comes to food and fitness and lifestyle. One of the things I love distinctions. Distinctions are quote unquote, I don't know if I want to say shortcuts, but they're fast tracks to clarity and discernment. I love distinctions because especially in this climate where everyone is looking to control context and manipulate the context of regular everyday words, we could assume we're saying the same thing and have a total another experience and context. So as someone with very fine hair, when we say get thicker, right? My hair is fine, right? I have a finite amount of follicles on my hair. I don't think I'm going to grow any new follicles. There are areas that were damaged by too tight braids that is never going to grow back, right? The appearance of the hair, right? So, which is why I'm into on this channel, I'm onto radical self-acceptance. Right? Does this mean I'm not creative? No, I'm extremely creative, but also I embrace the simplicity, ease, and relaxation. From the space of ease and relaxation, then I think we have access to more of our own natural creativity, right? Because natural bodies matter. I deserve to feel comfortable in my hair and skin. And I'm intentional about embracing aging and everything that's coming with it, because everybody's aging, whether you had surgery or not, male or female. And people are going to, if you just look at people's consumption patterns, I'm not there with you, so you ain't got to tell me. It's all secret to yourself. If you are not taking care of your reproductive organs, if you give everything indiscriminately with no vetting process access to your reproductive organs, access to your bloodstream, access to your critical thinking, you're going to get more than you bargain for. All of us. If you're putting things in your body constantly, day after day, that your cells can't recognize, well, you're going to get what you get. And just take around, look at your results and everybody else's results. So when it comes to thickness, embracing how the hair behaves, I find, is what is the thickness. So if people think that my hair is thick, it's actually fine. However, I've embraced that it's going to grow wide this way instead of circular this way. I love those big fat Conganatis, but when I have Conganati, this would be a Conganati for me. And this is like 4 of my huge, gigantic double strand twists. And actually, oh my gosh, when I start looking, I just start wanting to cut. So I got to be careful, because the last time I started cutting, if you go back to a video on this channel of the, and I'm not really concerned about it being all even in that. Those are, and I can appreciate somebody, and I'm going to be honest, I can appreciate makeup, particularly when it doesn't look like a mask or like a peacock or like a mask. And I can appreciate it when it's literally an accent. And I do get trying to cover imperfections. Yet at the foundation is my comfortability with myself and me not having low esteem under a mask of, I have a mask on, a veil over my esteem, right? And I bring it here, but it's still there. And people can sense it and perceive it. And so can I, because you cannot outrun your subconscious. So anyway, the thickness is in the wideness in the presentation, right? Because my hair will go flat. So most of the videos on YouTube, most people it's rare. Maybe I've seen 1.5 channels of women embracing flat locks, right? And how their hair naturally behaves. My hair goes flat because it's not a whole lot of follicles and it's not so dense. So this can be a concern for many of us women, especially if you're over the age of 30. We have these fears. And, I talk about the 5 basic fears on this channel because they are significant. If anyone is looking to clear up their skin, to achieve a healthy, natural weight, which the body knows how to do, and feel really enjoy your time in this human suit, which you're going to lay down. At the foundation is how you feel about your real self without all of this stuff on, because it's a mask. It's a creative mask. It can be a fun mask. However, this is it. So do you feel joyous? Do you feel just as joyous on a regular and consistent basis and accepting? And is your self-talk positive and encouraging, not lying, not complacent with ill health or poor reflective numbers on the state of your health, your waistline, your blood pressure, your clogging of your arteries, right? Do you feel really good in your own skin? And that is something that I have cultivated, quite frankly, in an environment where there's so much messaging, and I'm very wary of the undertones of the smiling faces on packages and creams and powders and things to cinch me in. They're not necessarily bad, the actual objects themselves, but I watch the motivation and intentions of who's coming to me, whether that's a company, entities, individuals, with compliments, What are they based in the motivation? So that is discernment. That's something that we don't really have a lot of a critical eye for, life experience for in our teens and our 20s, which is why we're so easily manipulated by companies and folks that don't mean no good. It's hard-earned life wisdom. And sometimes I observe that a lot of times we will do some damage, sometimes permanent damage to ourselves in ignorance, right? If you look at the current trend of, and I'm not here to shame, I'm not the food police, I'm not the hair police, I'm not here to tell you what to do, especially if you're not paying me. And even if you're paying me, I'm not Jesus and I'm not a martyr. Everybody is on our own individual paths, right? So I'm not here to shame or make you wrong. I had a gold tooth and a jerry curl. Hello. So am I going to make myself bad or wrong? No. Yet I got the results of the greasy collars and the acne, in addition to my pocketbook constantly taking a hit and feeling like I have to get the undertone, right? The undertone. Can you sense the undertone? The anxiety. Maybe y'all can't relate. The anxiety of I have to get to the beauty supply store before it closes. I have to get this product, that product. Then, visualize your basket in the beauty supply store that's not even, the majority of the products are not owned by the majority of folks that are in there. And I know from, well, I didn't stay long in India, but I'm aware of having gone to ashrams and chanted and been active in yoga for years. There are many women, if we just think about us culturally, that are shedding their old hair in religious and spiritual practices to throw off old energy. And then we're paying top dollar for a top shelf, thousands of dollars. So I'm not here to tell y'all folks what to think, but in your own quiet moments, you tell me or tell yourself, who benefits from the cognitive dissonance? Is cognitive dissonance, is it profitable? Only you can say. I'm not here to tell no folks what to do. But I can say I've decided to challenge my own internal dialogue and any feelings that don't feel so good. Like if you ever catch yourself saying, ooh, you don't look good. You don't look good. As if that is all of who you are as your physical appearance. You feeling good about the body temple you have, whether it's fluffy or whether you have a very skinny or slight slim body with not as curvy a derriere. How you feel about embracing your natural body is so important to your esteem. You can't outrun that. You can't outrun that. Because if we were more comfortable, you just would not have the anxiety, the spastic need for more stuff, the need for more food and eating ourselves to the point of deformity when the stomach is yay small, right? So that's why I love distinctions. The distinction between your midsection and your stomach, right? A lot of times we're not making these distinctions, and these are not conversations that are encouraged, right? So when I was in the shower just now, it was really just massage, and I was in it for a long time. And I sans the shampoo, and I use some of my fenugreek, and I think I'll be I don't know. I think I might have a video in here that I haven't released. I got all this backlog of stuff, and you can find videos of fenugreek online. But I was just using the fenugreek. Oh my gosh, I've used flax. If you have a copy of Natural Beauty No Products, you'll see my hair. Someone with very fine hair. How creative I was with my very fine textured hair before my hair locked, and I did not intend for my hair to lock because I wasn't sure what it would look like because my hair is so fine. Right. And so now I see. I was, kind of anxious about letting them combine. And all the channels, the videos say that if your hair grows outside the lock, it's going to break. Don't you see this hair growing outside the lock? Right. So, I'm into the ease and the relaxation. That's the product. The food between the food and your movement practice in your garden. Ease. Oof. And relaxation. Ease and relaxation. Ease for me. I don't know about you. Ease for me is not putting 20 tons of stuff on, right? And in contrast, I recently saw it looks like a non-for-profit or something on TikTok with all these women in Africa learning how to do makeup. So you know how the sister in Africa, when they get ready for the weddings and the pictures, they looking like done, like snatched. The geles, royal. But as all these women, a lot of women, like embracing the makeup, I was sitting there, wow, to be quite honest, it looked kind of like, I don't know, my honest thoughts, if I share my honest thoughts, which is very challenging to do in this environment where people start going bonkers and start getting triggered. We're all very easily triggered. Greetings. But when I saw all the colors on all these dark Afro women with all these different colorful, like crayon boxes of makeup palettes, right? And I'm thinking those makeup palettes are not being produced in their country. So the if you look up Dr. Claude Anderson with what is it? Black Powernomics, excellent book. We don't own all the means of production. Now, a lot of the zinc and the oxides, whether from computers and titanium, all that stuff, uranium, is produced there, are the natural resources are there, but we're not producing the makeup palettes. That's another story. But I'm looking at all these women like anxiously, and I get it. Maybe we could say with good cause, looking to learn how to do makeup. But I'm thinking if everybody's doing makeup on each other, then who are we selling to? It's like if you go on Clubhouse today, everybody's a coach, everybody's this, everybody's that. So everybody's doing real estate. So are we all just selling it to each other? So anyway, I thought it looked kind of, on one way, I don't know, something about it looked kind of, I don't know if the word is unsettling or a spectacle, but I also get and commend the woman that's leading the pack. I don't know if it's called Luxury Ladies or something like that on TikTok, of her endeavoring to teach these women how to do makeup. So if they're makeup artists for weddings, that's a viable source of income and training. She's doing something, right? And then also what I really thought was interesting and fantastic is that she had other aspects to the trainings for these women, which is bead making and jewelry. So it's industrious, and there's nothing wrong with women playing and being creative and making ourselves beautiful. At the same time, there can be multiple truths, right? It's not black and white. Although the climate on the internet can be very polarized. You got to be all this or all that. You got to be all Democrat, all Republican, all vegan, all keto. There can be multiple things going on at one time. So-and-so B. Cosby has brilliant work. Little Bill, best cartoon series and book series I ever watched. Excellent, par excellence. Some of his other behavior, I wasn't there, but if you have, out of order behavior, then you get the consequences for that. So there can be multiple truths. So anyway, I just think about, like, when I was looking at the health of the women's skin, so many of us have had so much acne, even in the fitness world. So much of, I can think of my colleagues and the women, myself included, had truckloads of acne. And I've always been very passionate about health because I come from a family of morbid obesity, which is waiting for me as well. A good portion of my family, and the diseases that come with it. Type 2 diabetes, which is a disease of lifestyle. Now we have type 3, which is a progression of type 2, which is Alzheimer's. So I'm not making this stuff up. There have been amputations in my family, breasts, legs. So, it's all connected. So I have really found that radical self-acceptance and ease and relaxation can give you access to discernment, clarity, and focus, right? Beyond momentary enthusiasm, right? Getting excited about, taking on a health journey. And then as soon as it's time to get uncomfortable and to go through withdrawal or letting go of these pacifiers, we fold. Or as soon as we're triggered, let me go get the creamy crack. As soon as you see your hair start coming out the lock, you start flipping out. So I'm not going to demonize beautification, because that's what women, the feminine principle, that's what we do. Yet to not address our health and the fact that the liver and the kidneys are yelling and screaming and working things out the best that it can with storing adipose tissue. If we can see that our body is not metabolizing, it's not burning off the food, if we've got swollen ankles and water retention, it's telling us something. So without the labels, that's why I like to press pause on the labels. It's a communication. The body is trying to get our attention and to tell us something. So going without, my experience, nail polish, touching my hair, my skin to see how it's behaving, gives me some It gives me the clearest information, right? As well, when I address the fears, won't be chosen, won't be attractive, criticism, that's one of the 5 basic fears, criticism of others. When you finally face those things, you have access to tremendous freedom. And this is just my experience. For example, not everybody's going to find you attractive. Some people are going to comment negatively on your hair or your skin if you don't decide to wear makeup all the time. People may likely comment on your hair as it turns white. I've had clients, aren't you going to dye this? Aren't you going to wear some lipstick? Aren't you going to put that on? And so you got to think sometimes why. I think it's sometimes looking at others, somehow the way that we project and reflect as human beings, as part of our condition, is we're projecting and reflecting our own insecurities, the questions that we have. Why is this person not doing what everybody else is doing? Then am I doing something wrong? Or am I going to end up looking at like this person somehow, somebody else doing something different makes us uncomfortable. It's like if you don't have a drink in your hand at a party, other people become incessant at running around to make sure you have a drink like everybody else so we can feel comfortable. You know, if you are eating healthily or eating something, eating super healthy, if you refuse to eat junk, they have a term now out for called orthorexic. And most, not saying couldn't be possible, but most folks in the Afro community, we don't have a problem with under eating. That ain't our issue, is under eating. And so I can live with if someone was to label me orthorexic because there's numerous things that I refuse to put in my body at this point. I can live with it. Not my concern, not my problem, right? So in feeling your hair and your skin, can you feel the texture of your skin? Can you start to intuit and discern and tap into, because there's lots of multiple intelligences going on, right? Many people tell me I got to follow my cravings, right? So that's different from, it's different. There's a distinction, right? And let's call it the ego. There are other names for it. There's a distinction between listening to your ego, and I have my own little litmus test. Maybe I'll let you in on my litmus test. And there's also a part of your internal processing. I like to say your divine onboard intelligence. We're not going to give it a religious name. You can call it whatever you want. There's a difference with that internal knowing of, it's not time to be eating right now. I just ate. I don't care if it's raw food. I just ate. It's not time to eat. It's time for my body to rest and digest what I just ate. Can you tune into your body and see it's not digested yet? Do you discern, right? Do you tune in and listen to a form of intelligence that's internal, beyond your pastor, your imam, all the professionals? Can you tune into your own intelligence? Can you start to intuit when you are dehydrated and in needing of moisture, not from pop, not from all kinds of powders and pills, but just from whole, fresh, good quality water out of vegetables and fruits? Can you intuit? Do we ever question? There are lots of narratives that we're just going along blindly. Even with 2 and 3 and 4 degrees, it doesn't make us exempt. So if y'all didn't know, I coach people that eat junk food and that overeat. That's part of my practice, even as a personal trainer and nutrition and consultant and a chef. A big part of why that is my specialty, because in the fitness realm, I discovered doing fitness competitions and being ripped and getting trophies, that a lot of it wasn't necessarily about health. That was kind of a letdown for me to see after the competition, people goggling down Skittles and let's go eat at this restaurant. And I was like, wow, how is this healthy? You know, or folks taking different substances to get the body to look a certain kind of way. Not thinking of inflammation. And as you know, I was having a communication with one of my clients. Isn't it interesting how when someone starts to eat healthy, everybody like, where do you get your protein? Where's your B12? You weren't saying that when I was eating 50 chicken wings. And, you know, when I was starving home drunk from the club, not me, you know, hypothetically. Nobody was asking me about B12 then. Does this make sense? So in feeling your hair and your skin, I'm feeling the texture, and I'm constantly, after all these years of being natural, my return to natural, I am so humbled and curious and sometimes excited. There have been times nervous to feel how the hair that's on my scalp, how it actually behaves. It's cottony, it's soft. I can see what it does now. It's got a little bit of weight because it's got a little bit of hang time. I'm feeling it and what it needs. So I just made a fenugreek paste, and that's what I soothed onto my head, and that felt it felt great. You could feel what hydration feels like. You can feel dry in contrast to oh man, the more I look at my hair, more I want to cut. Where are those scissors? You can feel what your hair and your body needs. Though, are you listening? And are you able to discern? Are you able to discern between the ego, vices, appetites, trauma being triggered, triggering you to want to chew everything and have a party in your mouth, to use salt and sugar and pies as your boyfriend or girlfriend or as good company? Can you intuit and discern the difference between fright and fear being triggered? Fear of being alone, right? Fear of being alone, loss of love, never finding love, fear of old age, fear of death, fear of illness, and fear of criticism. Can you discern between those triggers being, or those emotions and their primal fears, those fears being triggered, right? Can you discern between fears being triggered and triggering you into action to overshot, overeat, put your reproductive organs in your body in harm's way to the unvetted? Can you discern? So this is why it may seem overly simple. This is why I recommend or I encourage folks to 3 lifestyle practices. Whoever you are, whatever your packaging, whatever your gender, your so-called gender, if they're leveraged, they level the playing field. Peaceful consumption, food that loves you back. And that is also measured in terms of your results, your vitality, a healthy weight, your waistline, right? Your garden therapy, because all the stinking thinking starts to calm down and get quiet in the presence of the ants, some of them fire ants biting you up, watching flowers open. I think I'm going to post some pictures of the moonflowers. I have some moonflowers in the garden that have just opened, and they are absolutely gorgeous. They're gorgeous. I think that all women, Afro women included, deserve to have fresh flowers on the regular. How you going to get them? How you going to get your fresh flowers? You busy. You got a budget. You out of your job. Grow some flowers, y'all. Start the garden, y'all. Are y'all hearing me? Maybe not. Maybe I'm talking to myself. There is so much joy to be had. And I quote Grandma Louie, stay busy, stay out of trouble, right? And my mama, she would say, trouble's easy to get into. And she would say, hard to get out. Follow fashion, follow fashion, follow fashion, follow fashion, follow all these celebrities, these human beings, these flawed human beings, found this pastor, found this spiritual guru. Okay, there's some wisdom in what they're saying, but you have an onboard intelligence, divine intelligence that you were born with. There's nobody greater or less than you. Degree, no degree. Skin color, greater or lesser. Nobody. So at what point do you get comfortable with tuning into your own onboard intelligence that can guide you? It's always there, but it's drowned out by all the noise. There's 50 stations, 100 plus stations on that are blaring on top volume. So how could you expect, also with not feeding the control center of the brain with foods that nourish it, how could you expect to hear? Because I get the astrology and all this stuff, all this new age stuff is becoming another excuse and another distraction from getting into action around what you say you value. These things make us feel good, but they're not grounded a lot of time in action. If it's not grounded in action, you're not saying nothing. Sorry. We'll just keep creating more religions to make us feel good, to help us avoid those 5 basic fears. Fear of loss of love, never finding love, fear of poverty, fear of old age and death, and fear of criticism. Dora, what you saying, Miss Dora? Shout out to Flower Fit community. Door gardening has been the best therapy. I know that's right. I know that's right. What haven't y'all said? Have you started your garden? Let me know. Put something like they say in the chat if you have started your garden. And if not, ain't nobody here to shame you. Why? If you're eating, if you on a budget, you eating something with seeds, something while there's still seeds. You eat something with the seed, put it in the ground, see what's gonna happen. What you got? You already paid for this for the seed. You already paid for the food, especially if you pay for organic. Put it in the ground. It is so humbling. It is so humbling to nurture an herb or a plant that you're going to eat that is going to become part of your brain function, part of your breast, part of your kidneys, part of your liver. See, this is why I say that peaceful consumption, it's triggering discernment. It's triggering common sense. The garden will trigger your common sense and your discernment. Even experiencing your natural hair. And again, I'm not here to shame because I've had a jerry curl and a gold tooth, and I see some folks with permanent relaxers that look, they're put together very well, right? So that's not the point. That's a distraction, focusing so much on putting our judgment on other people when we could really be turning that energy and discernment and critique, not criticism, on ourselves, where we could, get the most use out of it. What are the 5 fears again? So loss of love or never finding love, fear of old age, fear of death, fear of criticism, and fear of poverty. They are primal human fears. And in primal meaning, they bypass all our intellectual. I know this, I know that, I got this, I got this house, I got degrees, I got my man, I got my relationship. It bypasses all this conscious talking and communicating we're doing, and it's the subconscious, and it is a known fact, even with all the different varying schools of thought, that 85-90% or more of our actions, repetitive every day, is driven by the subconscious. So who knows about this in your 20s, your 30s? As a matter of fact, as folks are Googling all of this information, folks now that are getting their hands on this information, and folks that are younger in their teens and their 20s that are looking to make sense of life and make sense of trauma, are being manipulated by these truths, right? Without life experience or discernment. And so because it seems to be a magical answer to why, this is why adults did this or that to me, or this is why my parents walked away. It's easy to be manipulated by quote unquote truths without a context and without a vetting process, a thorough, consistent vetting process, without a litmus test, without being able to compare and contrast based on life experience, right? So it's not limited to young people. More senior and more older adults are not immune. I mean, look, it's a cults aplenty. Political cults, commercial cults, religious cults, new age spiritual cults. And we are part of the process because it doesn't make us bad or wrong. We're looking for something. We're looking for answers. Yet I'll tell you this. Let's give a good example. Being in the bush with my homie, and we lived in the bush for a little while overseas. And we were approached, ran out by a yellow jaw, which is a very poisonous snake. We would have been out of here. So I don't know if I've shared this story before. Down in the creek and bathing, and I got my little camera. Oh, look at the fish! Look at the fish! And getting ready to wash our clothes. We're all natural. My skin was like glass, with zero products, zero, no oil, no conditioner, no lotion. My skin was. Every time I would go back to US of A, people like, wow, what are you doing? Living foods and no products. But that's another story. So anyway, washing clothes in the creek, and all of a sudden I see my sister by another mother. I see her go and start running. So what do? I do the black thing. I'm running. I'm like, I'm booking, as we used to say back in the day. I'm booking. We get to safety. We can have a conversation about whatever you saw later. So we're running, right? And we're down immersed inside the creek, and we get up, finally scramble, onto the level land. I'm like, oh my gosh, what was it? You didn't see a snake? No, I didn't see a snake. So my heart is beating out of my chest, and I go back and I look like, oh my God, huge snake, aggressive snake, a yellow jaw. So that's a whole nother story. But I ask you this, on my peaceful love and light workers. You're going to do love and light with an aggressive yellow jaw? Are you going to start turning to what did they say in the Bible scriptures? Or is your common sense? Do you stay there and try to be nice with the snake? Is it personal? No, the snake is doing what it does. If it's perceiving threat, it's about to unalive me, right? So this is what I mean in terms of common sense. When we translate this over to human beings, it doesn't appear we're able to discern predators, common, or even what to put in our mouths, because those basic fears are being triggered and they're being assuaged with products. And maybe perhaps some products have their place with products and words and outfits and body and melodic songs that make us feel a certain way, that elicit certain types of emotions. What are you saying, Dora? How do we overcome these fears? I'm someone who's constantly living in fear and it's a huge hindrance. Well, that's honest. First of all, Dora, I would say all of us have. It's a basic primal human fear. So it's likely we will always feel fear, right? So I'm like, call the devil by his name, the perceived devil. There's really no devil. But call the fear by its name. Sometimes we don't acknowledge it. So it can be easy to be hypnotized, which we're participating in, into distraction, so we don't have to deal with the fears. So we could be just eating and eating and eating, because if you stop eating mindlessly, right? Living foods is a big help at this, right? Whole, fresh, unprocessed foods. But if you stop eating mindlessly, then you'll have to address the ticker tape, that part of your intelligence that's always communicating with you. Get up out the bed next to this person, or you need to be doing this, or you need to be sleeping right now. It's always communicating you. So we're muting it because we'll have to deal with something. So we consider and intellectualize. I could tell you this and that, though there's no substitute for personal experience, though we're sold that you can live vicariously through the screen through others, right? And so many of us now as a species, we're watching other people live, or orchestrated pictures of people living, because we're too afraid to live. We're too afraid to let certain things go in order to live. So what I will say is your personal movement practice is the best playground martial arts school to deal with your fear. Safely, of course, because then you are allowing yourself to get uncomfortable, right? At the same time, you're giving yourself tangible examples of your own, not mine, your own ability to apply grit and resilience and pushing through. You're demonstrating that to yourself every single time you come to your mat. Every single time you know, oof, this is going to be extremely uncomfortable. That's how you put on muscle. So why are we expected to look fit and toned? We don't challenge ourselves, right? We'll watch the athletes, but many of us are not challenging ourselves. Or we try to shortcut. We want to be where the athlete is when they've been training for years, humbling themselves, rain, sleet, and shine, and we want the same amount of results. So we're encouraged to cognitive dissonance because it makes you a great customer. It makes you very compliant. But also, it's not interested in the victim mentality, because it's something that we are allowing. So we don't perhaps notice what's at the root of a lot of our behaviors, because we don't get quiet. We refuse to. We fight getting quiet, because when you get quiet, the fears are going to come up, but they're basic human fears. Everybody has them, right? Fear of old age, male, female, whatever your label. Fear of old age. Fear of death. Yeah, we get online and say, I ain't scared of nothing. They're basic human fears, right? No one really knows what's going to happen when you lay down this coat called the body. We can say we can report back on it, but most people don't know. But people make up all kinds of stories, and even if they had an experience that's not your experience, I don't know. Some of the stories I like more than others, but I really don't know. But I do know, while I have a human suit, that I'm going to take off and I'm going to be unalive at some point. Sooner or later. I'm not, with all the raw foods, living foods, healthy eating, that's going to happen. I'm accepting it. Wrinkles are going to come, breasts are going to sag, people get ill, sick, accidents happen. So I think perhaps we can neutralize a lot of the anxiety that is being triggered. We are being triggered. So we get triggered, right? Why not make it? See, my thing is be a strategist. Why not make triggering work for you? If you're going to be triggered, get triggered in the garden. Let the garden trigger you. Let the roosters trigger you. Let the butterflies. Oh my God, explosion every year, a certain time of the year, and these caterpillars will eat up a lot of your greens too. Though they're so beautiful when they blossom. Get triggered by watching the magnificence and the wonderment of butterflies. What does that trigger you to? Get triggered by movement. Get triggered like, wow, I want to feel more of feeling my physical prowess. And even if you were never an athlete in school, I was an athlete, but get triggered at the possibility of you being an athlete in your own right. So if you're going to get triggered, and if you're going to have habits, then make them work to your advantage. You can overcome or neutralize and put your fears perhaps into perspective by giving yourself access. There's certain activities that can give you access. What can give you access? Sounds so simple. Couldn't be that simple, could it? Right underneath our nose. The garden. The humility of, let's say, for example, people say, I'm not going to grow a plant because I kill it. Then take your time and get feedback and learn how to not do your research, trial and error, not be afraid of failure, and figure out how to nurture that plant. It's going to kick off and trigger your own intelligence and your observing of patterns, which women we should be doing because our body is totally linked to patterns, our cycle, having children. There are certain things that are built in that inherent if you are a human that is a womb carrier, right? There are patterns in life. So the patterns can teach you, but we're fighting against the pattern. So we're then going to miss out on some of the wisdom of aging and growing and maturing. Because if you make an agreement to one thing that doesn't make sense, you're likely that's your mindset and you will agree to other things that don't make sense, if that makes sense. It's mindset. It's mindset. Eating things that you think cause inflammation, that you think are unhealthy for you, that's a mindset. That's a mindset. So if you're doing it in this area, you're doing it in other areas. If you don't honor your word, then you don't honor your word. Likely you don't honor your word to yourself. Doesn't make you a bad person. Yet when you're not in integrity with yourself, that's something that many of us feel sad about. That can contribute, will likely contribute to turning on the screen as a distraction from getting into action around what you say you value, and you'll just be medicating. And if you're medicating, and if you have children, then the children around you, whether they come from your womb or not, will model the same behavior. They're going to model what you do. Their ego is going to try to make sense of your behavior, and eventually they're going to pick up on the patterns and repeat the patterns. We're creatures that copy. Hey, I didn't make it up. So even going through the experiment, again, I'm not here to tell people what to do because we are on a journey. Yet, questioning your internal dialogue, do you have dissatisfaction or dislike or disdain for what you really look like? And if you have, I know sometimes when I hear, the dark circles, get rid of them. Okay, I hear that. For who? It's very performative, and I get business and I get put your best face forward. Yet, what about who you really are and what you really got? What's being triggered is a shame. I don't get that health is being triggered. I get that a shame is being triggered. You understand? So it takes something to discern, right? When somebody trying to get in your purse, your pocketbook, your panties, and your psyche, are you able to discern the patterns, right? Sounds so right. Makes so much sense. Might be a little teeny drop, 1%, 2%. That's just I don't feel right. But if you haven't been trained, or you don't have the eyes haven't been trained to the possibilities of somebody well-dressed and nice voice and nice presentation, it may not even occur to you that they have another motivation. They can have another kind of intention, right? And now, at least there's information now about gaslighting. Do you ever consider that you could be gaslit not only by people romantically, but by politicians, by religious leaders? In the absence of gaslighting, then it would be on you to walk away from a situation that doesn't feel right, and then to go fill your time with the things you'd like to pursue while you have a human suit. I'm about to get out of here and go to this garden because it's the market. So my hair is just about dry. Nothing in it. It actually smells a little, I think the fenugreek has a little bit of just a teeny bit of almost like a sweet, not a cinnamon, but like cinnamon smells kind of sweet. has sweet notes to it. That's how the fenugreek is. So it felt very soothing, and the hair just about dry. It's drying quickly because there's nothing in it. I'm embracing it. And here, child, y'all want to see my routine? It's cool. It's cool. My son probably hates when I do this. It's cool. What shea butter and everything, right? And I got my Gucci shea butter on my eyelashes. And then I got my raw cocoa, which I really don't need. I got my raw cocoa butter on my lids, and I put the shea butter here, and then it's like that, and then my baby hair is it's like coming out. Oh my gosh! And then my hair is coming out, right? My Gucci baby hair, Afro. What should we call these? Not sticky bangs, not baby hairs. What should we call these? My little Connie Springs is coming out and everything, and they looking mad cute. And that's I'm gonna be rocking these. So why not? Let's change the narrative. Let's change the narrative. Just because you said so. I'm changing the narrative for me. Why? Because it feels better, and I'm not having to lie to myself. I still have the option, and I have the option. I have the option. It's mine, not anybody else's. I have the option to, if I wanted to put a perm, put that in there, which you couldn't pay me to do, but that's because that's my choice. That doesn't work for me. It's not my business what somebody else is doing. Let's say with children in my care for safety. No. So if we're enjoying our life and we're modeling something, that will likely be something that young women will want to mimic. And children mimic adults. And remember, children don't what? Children don't buy groceries. So if we're constantly self-soothing, not to make us bad or wrong, yet responsibility and accountability is on adults. If we are doing other activities other than constantly medicating with food, if we're out jumping double dutch and roller skating in the garden and the children get to participate in that, and you put them on a little stool to hand you your carrots or your celery as you're making your food, then that's what they're going to remember if you're having a good time with your lifestyle. So when people say, oh, I love your lifestyle, I wish I could do that. Come on, y'all. Come on. Don't give yourself an out. Don't do that to yourself. Don't cheat yourself. I'm not doing anything that anybody else can do. I'm really not. I'm really not. There are trade-offs with everything. There are trade-offs with kinky hair. I can live with this. I can live with I'm not everybody's cup of tea and my natural skin, which I think is absolutely astounding because everybody's going to get a dark circle. Many people are going to get a gut. A lot of people eating trash. We're all going to have to pay for not taking care of our bodies. So I can be okay with this. I'm okay with this. And I feel really grateful when I pass by the mirror and I have a natural, spontaneous smile at myself, right? That's for me. That's for me. And I invite you to put a condom around your psyche out here and protect your peace. That doesn't mean me tearing another gender down or somebody else that expresses themselves down. I give 2 cookies, what people do with their private parts in their bedrooms. Protection of women and children as a whole, and young people is a whole nother story, right? Yeah, but I'm not the savior. I'm not Jesus Christ. I'm not the food police or the hair police. We're all on our journey. Only you and your quiet moments can discern if you are really okay with your results, or do you just like, screw it, this is as good as it gets, and you maybe perhaps you don't realize that you have become complacent. Being complacent doesn't make you a criminal or a bad person. However, you truly okay with being complacent, and it's in the time that you have in a human suit, you don't know if you're going to get another human suit, right? Are you really okay with not pursuing expression, creating, dancing? And that's how we can be lulled to sleep with alcohol, narcotics, using your reproductive organs that are almost going to fall off in the absence of a vetting process. But hey, what do I know? I'm sending you all some positive vibrations. If you like the content here, feel free, like, comment, subscribe. I'm usually talking about something health, hair, fruits and vegetables, the garden. You can find me Kwasa with the K Peaceful Eating on TikTok, right? I think I have more gardening content. I'm most strategizing where to put whatever content because I got other things to do. I can't be on the screen all the time. Actually, I really would like to decrease more my time on the screen because I don't find that it lends to peace. So I think it's very important to be strategic about your time spent on the internet because as far as I'm concerned, I'm affected. I don't know about y'all. I'm affected by being on the internet. You're welcome, Dora. Shout out to you and Carolyn Shepherd and Goddess Wisdom and Queen Rabe. Yeah. Also, again, Queen Rabe. I do think the locks get thicker, not because you're growing more follicles, but because your fro gets a chance to fro. You're letting the body do what it does. And so your fro will expand. So when people say it looks thicker, it's just I'm not twisting out my fro. I'm not manipulating the fro. So I get to see how the fro behaves. That's all the thicker it is. Right? But when we're nitpicking and picking and picking and picking and picking and picking, part of when I had a lot of acne was picking the skin because I'm so self-conscious. I'm squeezing. Oh, that was torture. So I'm contributing to the scarring instead of, and it was a long process for my skin to heal up, right? So I was supposed to be getting off there. Let me get out of here. So, but just picking and picking and picking, we're gonna pick till you have no eyebrows. You'll pick till you have no hairline. You're gonna pick and perm until you permanent. I can think of people, and this may not be you, that have damaged their hair follicles, and now the hair won't grow back. Or now you got to put some very harsh looking dark black lines and tattoo your face when there was nothing wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with your derriere. There's nothing wrong with your breasts. There's nothing wrong with your breasts. Your breasts are lovely. We want them healthy. Embrace your shape. Embrace that nose. I have a lisp. Sometimes people like, you be smacking. I have a lisp. I'm embracing part of me. I'm embracing it. Embrace it. I have fine hair. I got 30 locks. And if these are falling off and hanging on by a shoestring, I'm going to cut it off and be creative with just I know how to do a baldy. I know how to rock. I feel stunning in a baldy. And I'll probably do some really gentle henna. Embrace it. Rock it. We're cutting off very things that are absolute, you know how I feel about beauty, but our so-called beauty marks, the marks of your essence, whatever your packaging is. But I'm also definitely talking as an Afro woman, as your Afro essence. Ain't nobody got this. I love chinky eyes, stunning. I have a beautiful client that's Irish. She's stunning. So any of y'all Rastas, peace to y'all too. I got family that's Rasta. But yes, I have an Irish client. She's stunning. Rock your pale skin. You ain't got to be this. Rock it. Your breasts are not going to be firm mangoes. And I know a lot of my 20, 30-year-olds, you're not thinking of your 20s and 30s. You're not thinking about menopause. You're not thinking about the one time you make one bad mistake and now you got something from somebody you didn't vet that stays with you for a lifetime. You're not thinking about the psychological, emotional damage that goes when you choose poorly. And you're definitely not thinking about people giving you bad advice. People don't have a problem with seeing you exactly where they are economically, in your relationships. People don't have a problem if they're unhealthful in their body. They don't have a problem sharing their snacks with you. I'm just saying. But I about to get out of here. Likewise, but for some reason, when I spend less time on social media, I feel like I'm behind. What news? You behind on the news? Child, what's that? What are they calling now? FOMO? You ain't missing nada. You could be watching the moonflowers bloom. I'm gonna post on my way to the market. I'm gonna post some of the moonflowers in the community section. You're missing out on nothing. That's like folks thinking that you're missing out, right? As you may have some of your friends encouraging you to be reckless with your reproductive organs. But they're not going to tell you what medications they're taking. And it ain't that much yoni steaming in the world for making poor choices. There ain't that much putting your yoni, steaming it like it's mussels. Ain't that much yoni steaming to compensate for poor choices. That's what sometimes I wonder, if we got so much yoni steaming because so many of us women are experiencing the results of opening our sacred parts to the unvetted. I'm just saying. Right? You're not missing no news. Right? I had one of my Nigerian clients say, you cannot keep your head in the sun. What? You cannot keep? Yes, I can. I can be picking and choosing. I said, you know what? I don't have to worry about following the news because I said, you're going to bring me the news every day at 6 o'clock in the morning when it's time to train. I don't need to look at the news because you are my Nigerian news reporter. So you're going to bring me the news every day. So you ain't missing out on nothing. I'm confusion, arguing, fussing, fighting, gender wars. What am I missing out on? Just enough to know what's going on. So I need to get out of harm's way. But I'll take my time, my peace. I feel peace in the garden. I feel peace on my mat. After stretching myself so I feel peace. I feel peace that's almost as restful as sleep on my mat, on my yoga mat. We missing out, y'all. We missing out. We may not think that some of the things we're consuming on social media, subconsciously comparing yourself to folks. A lot of folks, I get the techniques, the beautification, the contour, that don't even look like themselves. And this is who we're holding up as a standard. Again, not to make it bad or wrong, but what about you being comfortable in your own skin and utilizing the resources and the gems that you have in your life? What about that? Doesn't that count for something? Let me look at it like that. I have friends that's always filling me in. Yeah, you got the news will come to your door. Child, you hear about Child, did you hear that we getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and we having a workout? How about that? Child, this morning I burned 300 calories, over 300 calories in like 45 minutes. How about that? So if it's not affecting my vitality, if I'm not getting deposited, if I don't feel, if I'm not triggered, stimulated, encouraged to get into action around things that I say are important to me economically, when it comes to my health, when it comes to my garden, when it comes to preparing beautiful food for myself, then what are you saying? Are you contributing? And it's up to me. I'm not the victim mentality. That ain't it, y'all. That ain't it. That ain't it. My grandma Lou, if you was complaining, she was 10 blocks away getting something done. Right? So only you can question, only you can determine what you are allowing into your space, into your psyche. So Flower Fit community, share the seeds that you found, share the basil that's blossoming in your yard. At least you'll get something back. At least you'll get something back for your time, energy, and attention. If you got your roller skates, get ready because we're about to have a roller skating party in the house. What you waiting for fun? Why you waiting for the perfect situation? What you waiting for? Life is now. So if you got your little vegan nail polish, you'll probably be doing a little nail polish party. I don't wear it all the time, but yes, we will. And plain in our hair. And if you have questions, you like to swap your little secrets on your natural hair and getting your skin tight and right from the inside out, that's what we're doing, Flower Fit community. Do fill out the Flower Fit application. If I can't identify you, I'm not opening up the space. I'm not doing that, period. I have to be able to identify you when we're exercising. I need to see good form so you can be safe. So, and if you get up early, or you keep doing the same thing, which doesn't make you bad or wrong. If you're satisfied with your results, then rock out. I'm going to the market. Y'all, I'm inviting you to create a great day on purpose, just because you said so. Whatever the bank account's looking like, whatever your relationship status could be looking like, and this might be a wonderful opportunity to focus on yourself. I invite you to create a great day on purpose. You're invited to feed yourself, nourish yourself with the most colorful, nutrient-dense, water-rich, vitality-filled, genetic code information that signals your cells to flip on the genetic expression of health and muscle building. I invite you to feed your vision for your life, your mood, your blood chemistry with the most high octane, peaceful fuel available to you. See, we didn't even need to use a label, and create a great day on purpose, simply because you said so. Dora, get them skates, girl. Garden, skates. Oh, and then I don't even want to announce it, but there's a new beautiful space. They're manifesting for our retreat. So we don't have to wait all the way to next year, and it's going to be exclusive right now. Only 6 people will be able to come at a time. So that's going to be a total immersion in the most beautiful place, waterfalls, like a few minutes away, hiking in nature in the quiet, surrounded by calla lilies. It's going to be a blast. So when you focusing your attention, y'all, get into action around what you say is important to you. Anything else, what are you talking about? If you're not talking about fruits and vegetables, if you're not talking about movement, well, I'm having fun. And by the way, I got to go take a pole class later today. If you're not talking about your personal movement practice, peaceful, then what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'll catch y'all later. Great day on purpose. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz.